Rotate my board and tap my ember free. Voila! Welcome to Corporals Corner. Today we're making a bow drill set using Tulip Poplar, so stick around. About a year ago I filmed a video on a cottonwood bow drill set. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll post a YouTube card somewhere up in here. You can click on that card and it will take you to that video and you can check it out. And what I found was over on the West Coast where I filmed that video, West Coast meaning California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, everything's bone dry. And I don't want to be arrogant and say that it's easier, but in reality it is. Once you've been trained and you've dialed yourself in, you know what to look for and know what type of wood to collect, a good 90% of the time it's like this. Embers just pop out. And then, in my opinion, that gives you a false sense of security. You think, I'm a bow drill king. And then you come somewhere else, like on the East Coast or the Eastern Woodlands where I'm at right now. And it's a whole new ball game. Now, I just spent the past week over here at the Pathfinder School. While I was here, I made a Kephart style knife. Check that out. Now I made this knife under the guidance of Dave Canterbury. Dave, you're the man. Thank you, I appreciate it. So from now on, this will probably be my go-to knife. And I thought, well, you know what, since I'm out here on the East Coast or the Eastern Woodlands, why not go ahead and go out and identify some Tulip Poplar and go ahead and carve out a Tulip Poplar bow drill set. Now Tulip Poplar is a magnolia. However, it shares the same type of characteristics as a cottonwood or aspen. The wood's extremely soft, the bark can be peeled off and processed into a bird's nest or tinder bundle. And most importantly, it will give everybody a chance to see the differences between the wood. Now the reason why I wanted to do this, again, is to test the knife that I just made. However, a lot of people that come out here to the East Coast and they attend the Pathfinder School, the #1 reason why they fail the intermediate scout class or advanced class is simply because they can't get a bow drill ember. And out here it rains a lot. Today it's about 85% humidity, and that plays havoc with these embers. It causes them to gum up inside the notch. It won't drop properly into the ember catch, and or if it's raining or it's cold, it sucks the heat right out, or the moisture's in the air. There's all kinds of different factors. However, if you can find the optimum piece of wood, even under the wrong conditions, you can still get an ember and affect fire. So today, let's go ahead and get up, wander out here, find a Tulip Poplar, identify it, and then grab my new knife and carve a set. Now, like with all trees, it's important that you can identify them by the leaves as well as the bark. And why is that? Well, during the fall or winter time, those leaves might not be there, and you're left with just the bark. Makes sense to me. So there's a Tulip Poplar right here. See this grayish bark? It's not thick and gnarly like the cottonwoods on the West Coast, but similar in color. Very tall tree. And as they grow, the limbs all drop off, and that's what you want for your bow drill set. Now, just like the cottonwoods, they have a diamond or heart-shaped leaves. The Tulip Poplar has a unique leaf as well. If you look at it, it resembles a tulip. And these aren't found anywhere else except on a Tulip Poplar. Okay, so here we got a dead piece of Tulip Poplar. And this whole thing probably weighs maybe a pound at most. And that's another unique characteristic, is once this wood dries out, it's extremely light. It weighs almost nothing. Now this is one of the branches we were talking about. It was way up on top, it broke off as the tree grew and it fell to the ground. What I do is I look at it. If you look here, it's got a natural crack that runs all the way down, which is excellent. Put my knife right inside there and I can baton it in half. Yes, I believe in batoning. And another thing I look for once I cut this piece off is the heartwood. Now I want that to be as small as possible. And on here it's barely visible. That tells me this is a perfect piece of wood. So all I gotta do is baton around that and I can get my fireboard and my spindle. I already found a stick for a bow, and for me it's a Y branch, fingertip to armpit in length, good to go. It can be a straight stick, have a slight curve to it, doesn't matter. And then for my handhold or bearing block, I'll go with a harder wood. However, you can get all three pieces from the same branch and you're good to go. Let's go ahead and carve our set. So here's that piece of wood I was talking about. There's our natural crack, the barely visible heartwood. This is an excellent piece. The crack goes all the way down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and measure about a foot, cut it off right here, split it in half, carve our hearth or fireboard and our spindle. I'm going to go ahead and use something called a plumber's vise to cut this wood. I'm going to take the branch, place it between my calf and my thigh, slide it out to where I want to cut it, use my opposite hand to stabilize it. Now I'm cutting on the outside of my body, keeping it safe. I'll place my knife, that natural crack that we talked about. Grabbing a stick for a baton. Sweet. Look at that. Now I got a fireboard. I can baton this down and get me a spindle. Very nice. Now for our spindle, I'm taking my pinky and my thumb. I want to get that length somewhere in there. And I want it to be the diameter of my thumb. So I'll go ahead and carve this down to get my spindle or my drill. For the fireboard, I'm looking at something that resembles a 2x4, and I want to go ahead and carve this down and make it flat. That way when I put my foot on it, it won't rock back and forth. So here's the finished product. We want to taper one end, round off the other, and again, pinky to thumb in length, about the diameter of my thumb. And the fireboard or hearth, resembling a crappy 2x4. We're good to go. Now for our bow. It could be a bent stick, straight stick, your choice. At one end, I beaver chewed a notch right here so I can tie my number 36 bank line. On my opposite end, I have a Y branch, which I'll attach my number 36 bank line using a bowline. And again, the overall length I want to be from fingertip to armpit in length. Now for our bowline, all we're going to do is take our bank line, rotate it over, take our end, come out of the hole, go around the tree, back into that hole, pull it tight. On my opposite end, all I gotta do is do a half hitch, tighten it, and to wrap up the excess. And hold it with my hand. So the next step, we want to go ahead and seat our drill into our fireboard. And what that means is, all we're going to do is we're going to burn that entire diameter into our board before we carve our notch. So to do that, taking my spindle, I'm going to locate a spot on my board right here, about 1 inch from the end, and approximately 1/4 inch from the outside of my board. Take my knife, I'm going to rotate my spindle over and place it in the center of where that spindle should be. Now I can go ahead and just remove that material. All we're going to do is carve a small indentation, the same diameter as my spindle. So now we have our fireboard or hearth, our spindle or drill, we have our bow. The last thing we need is our bearing block or handhold. So all I've done here, now let me back up real quick. You can use the cottonwood or the aspen or the tulip poplar and they're good to go. However, I found in my experience that I want to go with a wet piece of wood, meaning green, or with a harder type of wood that's dry for the bearing block. So all I did was the piece of wood I used for my baton, cut a small piece off, split it, fits inside my hand. Now the same thing I did for my board, carving that small indentation, I'm going to grab my spindle or my drill, take the tapered end, carve a small indentation right inside here, and we're good to go. So now we're ready to burn that full indentation into that board, or the full indentation of my spindle into that board, and that's called seating your drill. I'm going to go ahead and place a bandana or blanket or whatever I have down on the ground. There's moisture in that ground. I don't want that moisture going into my board. Now we're not going for an ember. Again, we're going to seat our drill. Then we can carve our notch. Taking my bow and my spindle, and place my spindle between the string and the bow itself. I'm going to rotate it towards myself, on the outside, and then down. I should hear it lock. Here we go. I can then roll it down towards my hand, and the spindle and string should be on the outside of the bow. Take my bearing block, just onto my spindle. I'm going to lock my wrist to my shin like it's glued. I'm not going to move it. I'm going to start off real slow and utilize the full length of that bow to seat that drill or burn that indentation into the board. I'm going to add some downward pressure. And that's textbook. Check this out. Now, this right here is one of the critical points that we have to talk about on the spindle or drill. We just seated our drill, okay? The end is black. It's also now fire hardened. So I want to remove that material to give it fresh material to burn into that board. Good to go. This end right here, this tip, I'm going to leave alone. However, I'm going to go ahead and make it more tapered, more rounded here towards the top. That way it won't shoulder out on me. If it shoulders out, you get friction and it binds up at the handhold. And a lot of people start fighting it, and then the spindle goes flying off somewhere. Take advantage of every opportunity that you can get. Nice. Now from here, we want to go ahead and carve our notch. Out here I found that a very wide pie notch works well. So we'll go ahead and do that. Locate my center. A good 1/4 inch at the base. And we're going to carve it into our indentation about an 1/8 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that material. And the back side, I went ahead and opened that up to allow airflow to my ember. I'm going to start off real slow with very little downward pressure. All we're trying to do is fill that notch. Once the notch is full, I'll go to town on it for a good 15 to 20 strokes and give her hell. Just like playing a violin. Very little downward pressure right now. Trying to fill that notch. The notch is now full, and I'm going to go for it. I rotate my board and tap my ember free. Voila! So bringing my bird's nest to my ember, I'm going to go ahead and look down at my ember and see which direction the smoke is going. The reason why I want to do that is because when I place it into my bird's nest and give it oxygen, I don't want a face full of smoke. And it looks like it's going that direction. Let's go ahead and get this. Carefully place it into my bird's nest. Now it's kind of swirling around here, so I'm going to move around a little bit. It appears that the air is taking the smoke that direction. Adjust this so you can see me a little better here. There we go. And once we got flame, all we're going to do you want to rotate your bird's nest to your bundle so that it fully engulfs. And at that point, you place it inside your fire lay, or build your fire lay on top of this. Outstanding. Now, a rule for fire: you never want to blow on an open flame because you've already got one. You never want to add any more fuel until the flames are higher than your current fuel source. So right now we're above it. I'm going to add some. Once again, we're well above, and we're good to go. Smoothing it, baby. Welcome back. This is not outstanding. It'll kick your butt. What I've found for the past 4 years of using this, it has to be under the complete optimum conditions as far as the environment goes and the wood. And even then, it's a luck of the draw. You throw your name into a hat and people go, oh yeah, this one. And that's basically what it is. Now there's tricks you can use to make it easier, but it's always going to be difficult, especially with Tulip Poplar. Now, on a side note, this knife is outstanding, and most likely you'll see it in my videos from now on. Now, the one thing I didn't mention is that I use the same type of design as the Dirty by Design from the Pathfinder Knife Shop, their kept part. So if you want a similar knife, check out their knife line. They have several of them just like this. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is I want to give a shout out to one of our new instructors. He's not new to being an instructor by any means. He's just new to the Pathfinder School. Josh Enyart. Now, he has a couple of YouTube channels. He has a Josh Enyart channel, and he has Flint and Steel. Now, I want you to do me a favor. If you're looking for somebody like me, who's no nonsense, who's former military, who will show you the way to do it and the right way to do it, and lead by example, please check out his channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and do me a favor, subscribe to my channel hit that notification bell. As usual, thank you for your comments and views, support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.